Imagine you are standing alone on the jagged edge of the Valles Marineris, a canyon system so unimaginably vast it would stretch across the entire United States. The harsh, mechanical breathing of your life support system is the only sound tethering you to sanity. Suddenly, a red warning light flashes on your wrist display. Your communication link to the habitat module has severed. You tap your helmet, desperate to hear the crackle of your crewmates' voices. But there is only cold, empty static. You turn around, your heart pounding, and watch as a massive, towering cliff face a mere 100 yards away violently collapses. Millions of tons of ancient red rock cascade downward, crushing everything in its path, creating a tidal wave of pulverized stone. You brace yourself for the earth-shattering roar. You wait for the deafening thunder to rattle your chest. But there is nothing. The apocalypse plays out in front of you in absolute, terrifying silence. And as the silent cloud of dust washes over you, you realize with sickening certainty, you have been stripped of your most primal survival instinct, and this silent world is going to kill you. From the glossy pages of astronomy magazines and the billion-dollar promises of tech billionaires, this world was sold to you as a romantic frontier. Mars was supposed to be the next great stepping stone, a second home for humanity. And as you stand there, watching the sun begin to set, you might almost believe the lie. The landscape rolling out before you is breathtakingly beautiful. Vast plains of undulating red sand stretch as far as the eye can see, bathed in a warm, golden twilight. As the sun dips lower, the sky around it turns an ethereal, haunting blue, painting a masterpiece of cosmic serenity. You might briefly feel a surge of primal awe, a quiet peace in the beautiful, undisturbed twilight. But something is wrong. As the blue light bleeds out of the sky, the illusion of a peaceful desert completely shatters. This is not a desert on Earth. The serene stillness pressing against your helmet is not the quiet of nature. It is the heavy, suffocating silence of a planetary graveyard. There is no wind rustling through unseen brush. There are no birds. There are no insects humming in the dark. There is an absolute, terrifying absence of biology and sound. You have not landed on a new frontier. You have crashed onto the mummified corpse of a planet, a sterilized wasteland where the fundamental laws of physics are actively and openly hostile to your flesh. But here's the problem. The sheer, terrifying scale of your physical isolation isn't even what is going to end your life first. It is the physics of the silence itself. You are standing on a world that is essentially a vacuum chamber, wrapped in a thin, useless veil of poison. Mars possesses an atmosphere that is barely 1% the thickness of Earth's, and it is made almost entirely of heavy carbon dioxide. Sound, as your brain understands it, is just a vibration traveling through molecules in the air. On Earth, the air is thick, dense, and tightly packed, allowing sound waves to ride smoothly and warn you of approaching danger. On Mars, the molecules are so spread out, so impossibly thin, that sound simply has nothing to travel through. It is physically suppressed. If you were to somehow survive taking off your helmet and screaming for help, your voice would not carry. The high-pitched frequencies of human panic are instantly swallowed by the thin atmosphere, dropping off completely after a few feet. Your scream would be deadened, muffled, and erased from existence before it even reached the end of your own outstretched arm. You are navigating a lethal, alien environment while completely muffled, wrapped in an invisible sensory deprivation tank. But it gets worse. Evolution spent millions of years designing your ears to keep you alive. You are biologically hardwired to hear the crack of a branch, the hiss of a predator, the rumble of a storm. Hearing is your 360-degree early warning system. On Mars, that system is completely useless. The environment itself is composed of microscopic razors and violent weather designed to dismantle your technology, and you will never hear it coming. You look toward the horizon and notice the stars begin to blot out. A towering, solid wall of darkness is rising into the sky. It is a Martian dust storm. On Earth, a storm of this magnitude, a churning wall of debris miles high, would sound like a fleet of freight trains bearing down on you. You would hear the roar of the wind miles away, giving you time to run, to hide, to survive. But on Mars, the wind does not roar. It weaponizes the landscape in a haunting, ghostly whisper. The storm slams into you, plunging you into absolute, suffocating blindness. You are engulfed in a churning maelstrom of toxic, razor-sharp sand, but the terrifying roar you expect is missing. You are being sandblasted by a silent executioner. And this is where things change, because the silent storm is hiding a microscopic, lethal threat. The Martian regolith is not like smooth beach sand. It is jagged, sharp, and statically charged. As you stumble blindly through the dark, the wind violently whips these microscopic razors against your suit. Suddenly, a jagged piece of debris slices a hairline fracture into the polymer joint of your elbow. On Earth, or inside the pressurized cabin of the International Space Station, a leak in your suit would emit a high-pitched, piercing hiss. That sound is a vital warning, giving an astronaut seconds to slap a patch over the hole and save their own life. But Mars steals the high frequencies. The thin carbon dioxide atmosphere refuses to carry the high-pitched hiss of your escaping oxygen. You are bleeding life support into the void, and you cannot hear it happening. You don't hear the alarm of your own atmosphere escaping. You just feel the sudden, terrifying drop in pressure. By the time the oxygen deprivation hits your brain, by the time your vision blurs and the cold seeps into your bones, it is already too late. This silent leak would kill you in minutes, and you would die frantically searching for a sound that physically cannot exist. When NASA sent the Perseverance rover to the surface of Mars, they equipped it with heavy-duty microphones. For the very first time in the history of our species, humanity heard the true acoustic reality of another planet. And it was deeply, mathematically unsettling. The recordings sent back to Earth revealed a world that sounds like a ghost. The brilliant, high-energy snaps of the rover's laser hitting rocks were dulled into sickening, low-frequency thuds. The mechanical hum of the rover sounded as if it were submerged deep underwater. NASA's own scientists realized that on Mars, two people standing just a few yards apart would sound completely muffled, delayed, and entirely devoid of the high-frequency tones that carry human emotion. The planet literally strips the humanity from your voice. But that's not even the worst part. The true horror of the silent planet is what happens to your mind in the dark. Trapped in the roaring, blinding dark of the dust storm, with your oxygen slowly, silently bleeding out, the psychological weight of the absolute silence begins to warp your reality. Your human brain is desperate for auditory input. It is addicted to sound. When you deprive the brain of noise, it panics. It begins to invent its own. As the oxygen thins, the auditory hallucinations begin. You start to hear the crunch of heavy boots in the red dirt directly behind you. You spin around, but there is nothing there. You hear faint, muffled voices whispering your name through the static of your dead radio. You hear the phantom hiss of a leak that isn't there, and you miss the silent leak that is. You are losing your mind in the dark, severed entirely from the collective soul of your species, drowning in an endless, freezing ocean of dead, silent sand. The absolute quiet is not a comfort. It is a psychological torture device slowly peeling away your sanity. The universe was never meant for us. We look up at the night sky and we tell ourselves stories of exploration, of conquering the red planet, of planting flags in the dirt and building shining cities in the dust. We desperately want to believe that the cosmos is an empty house just waiting for us to turn the key and move in. We want to believe that we can mold the universe to fit our biology. But the infinite does not care about our ambition, our bravery, or our desperate need to survive. Mars is a stunning, silent masterpiece of orbital mechanics, but it is also a perfect execution chamber for human biology. It is a monument to the absolute hostility of the void, a place where the elements act with a brutal, uncaring efficiency to erase anything that is soft, warm, and fragile. It does not hate us. It simply exists on a scale so grand and terrifying that our survival is fundamentally incompatible with its presence. We are fragile, delicate creatures, clinging to a tiny, warm blue rock, perfectly calibrated to keep our blood flowing, our lungs breathing, and our ears filled with the comforting sounds of life. Beyond our thin atmosphere lies a dark, violent, and indifferent universe filled with open graves. And the most terrifying among them is a world that looks exactly like a quiet desert from home, spinning silently in the freezing void, waiting for nothing, and burying everything without making a single